Hello, friends. It's nice to be with you again today. I have been looking forward to today's interview now for a couple of months, ever since I met my friend Nora at our God's Good Table Health and Healing God's Way conference back in the end of April. And while I was there at Melvin's Farm to Fork, we had a lot of wonderful, beautiful people. And it's always nice to be able to help people and meet new people and know that what you're doing is helpful, is a blessing to others. And so, of course, it's way beyond just me. That is such a group effort. Melvin's Farm to Fork, the Montgomery family, and the God's Good Table team with Aaron and I and others. We all worked together to make a really wonderful, blessed event. And at this particular event, we, of course, met a few new people that we are happy to get to know now. One of those was Nora Kemmerer, and I'm going to add her to the stage right now. Hello, Nora.
Hi.
So nice to see you.
Great seeing you too.
Thank you. I love your smile. You have a very cheerful, happy personality that just makes me smile too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're a blessing to many people I know, and I feel that way about me, and I'm just grateful that we are friends, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you more and more and spend more time together. So today, and I'm sorry that my camera seems to be freezing and doing weird things. My computer's not working great. Maybe I'm going to try to close one thing and see if it'll help. Maybe I have too much running in the background. Okay. Anyway, we are talking about a topic that is rather sensitive and controversial, not between you and I and not our crowd, but out there in the world. And because of that, we're going to be very careful about some of the words that we use. But what we're going to talk about has to do with what Nora has seen in the hospital setting and in the cardiologist setting since 2020. And I'm sure especially since the latter part of 2020 and 2021 up until now. It's something very, very disturbing that some of us hear reports of, but for the most part has been kept hush hush, or we've been told that we're just nuts and it's all overblown and it's not as bad as people are saying, but we know that that's a lie. So Nora, with that lead in.
Peter Diaz, FaceTime video.
Can't do it now. My son is calling. There we go. I forgot to turn on airplane mode. So I better do that right now. Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought. I apologize very much. So I'm going to first let you tell a little bit about what you do so people understand that you have credibility and you are actually seeing things on a professional level, really, that we should not be seeing. So first of all, Nora, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a registered cardiac sonographer. I have been for 15 years. I spent probably, 6 or 7 of those 15 years in a hospital setting. The rest of the time I have been outpatient. And I do ultrasounds of the heart in outpatient cardiac practices. When I was working in the hospitals, I would perform a lot of other procedures. I would assist in surgeries with valve replacements. I would help in any emergency setting doing the sonograms of the heart for trauma patients that would come in. anything dealing with the heart, I could assist with from an ultrasound
Okay.
perspective.
So with all of that background, prior to 2020, what kind of anomalies might you be looking for and seeing as a sonographer?
From my recollection, my patients were much older. I did not get the 20 and 30-year-olds every single day. I would get the crowds 50 and older with the bypass surgeries, the chest pains, regular cardiac problems that would occur when you get older.
Okay. And we might even add that just from the standpoint of how things used to be 100 years ago, even versus up to 2020, things had gotten worse anyway.
Yes.
And, heart disease wasn't even an issue until about 100 years ago. But now, how long did you say that you have been doing this?
15 years.
15 years, yeah. So since 2010 then. So for the first 10 years, you were seeing things that you would expect to see.
That were normal. The heart attacks. I hate to say it, but heart attacks are normal.
They have become normal now. Yes. And my husband had a massive widowmaker heart attack. Yeah. Yeah. So it shouldn't be normal, but it is normal today. Yeah. But then at some point, something changed. Can you tell us the first time you saw something that was really off?
Well, I can start into the experience in 2020 if you would like. I can start there, which will lead into the changes.
Okay.
So March 16th, 2020, I offered to scan the first positive patient in all of Northern Virginia. I worked at a hospital in Fredericksburg, Virginia at the time, and it was exciting. It was the unknown, and everyone was terrified of this unknown. And we had this patient. He was actually in the paper, so I can talk about it. He had type 2 diabetes. He was morbidly obese. He had pulmonary issues. Not a healthy person.
Right. No, it doesn't sound like it.
So I suited up from head to toe in this, the PPE, the protection that we had to wear. I had goggles.
Like a hazmat suit or something.
It was this hazmat suit. It was crazy. Even my machine was covered because they were so worried that it was transmissible on a surface.
Oh, man.
So I get into this room. I offered to take care of this patient. No one else wanted to. I was young, healthy, didn't have children. And I said, I will do this. We have no idea what's going on. And there was a glass wall and half the hospital lined up to watch me go in and take care of this patient. And I had to change in this separate room. I took care of the patient as fast as possible because you wanted to limit exposure.
Yeah.
And come out of there, I completely changed, had to change my scrubs. This was the time where we would go home and take off our clothes before even walking into the house. So took care of this patient. And the next day, I was still alive.
Praise God.
I wasn't sick. And then, what was it? 2 weeks later, I started questioning things. 2 weeks went by. I was healthy. My coworkers were healthy. Most of the hospital staff was healthy. This was late March at this point.
Okay.
But yet there was the ticker tape, I guess, had started on the TV with the media and showing this death toll. And what the media was saying wasn't lining up with what I was seeing in the hospital with my own two eyes. And I am someone prior to 2020, I'm embarrassed to say I never questioned anything.
Now you question everything.
And I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I had started an all meat diet a month prior to the first positive. So I was losing weight. I was losing inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting really healthy. And so that had already, I started questioning things. How can someone that works in cardiology eat an all meat diet? But that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
But I was healthy. And so I started questioning things 2 weeks in when nothing lined up. And I continued to offer to take care of these patients. Sometimes I would go in, I was not a fan of the facial stuff.
Yeah.
So that was worn around my neck a lot of the time. And I would get a phone call, Nora, you've been exposed.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I wouldn't get sick despite being exposed to this deadly thing.
Yeah.
And the patients I was seeing that I recall, now working in cardiology, we do not have healthy patients regardless, but these positives were not healthy people. They weren't normal BMIs. A lot of them had type 2 diabetes. They had multiple comorbidities. And a lot of the time they just happened to test positive.
Mm-hmm.
So
whether or not they had symptoms of being ill in that way. Okay. Yes. Because those tests will pick up anything.
Correct. And that's, I started following more natural people. Who was it? It might have been Paul Saladino.
Mm-hmm.
He was promoting vitamin D, sunshine, and vitamins. And I was like, who is this person? And what is this natural stuff he's talking about? However, it makes sense. Why are my patients all obese and they're closing the gyms?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So these people are sick and they're closing all the healthy stuff and they're telling us to stay indoors. So one question led to another and I started asking, nothing made sense. And my hours were cut in half. So apparently our hospitals were overran, but I was being sent home. I was forced to take vacation days. I couldn't get my hours in.
Oh, wow.
But the media says we were just overran.
Wow. Being overrun with other things and not, wouldn't your specialty still be needed?
We were. And unfortunately, a lot of elective procedures were done away with because everyone was afraid. So they stopped doing a lot of the important procedures, valve replacements, pacemakers. Some of those things were put off because of the fear.
Yeah. The fear was real.
It was nonstop. Every news channel.
Yeah.
That's all they showed. And they created the fear from the get-go, which we know why.
Yeah. I even remember attending a Weston A. Price Wise Traditions conference about 2000 and I'm going to guess about 2005. And in our hotel room, I turned on the TV one afternoon and there was this movie. And it was all about this horrible thing infecting everyone worldwide. And everyone was in this massive panic and people were in hazmat suits and you have to stay indoors and oh no, what are we going to do? And I know that I didn't continue to watch the whole thing. I was thinking at that time, this is ridiculous. They're trying to prep us for something. And sure enough, that's what played out starting in 2020. It could have been straight from that movie. And I'm sure that it was it's intended to be that way.
I agree.
So, yeah. So in the hospital, you're seeing these really crazy things.
That didn't line up. And it got so bad that I actually had to start searching for a job because I couldn't get my hours. I was getting 20 hours a week when I was averaging 50 plus prior. So
Wow.
I took a job, a promotion at a Trauma One hospital in downtown DC.
Oh, fun.
I
Ugh.
wanted to go to the heart of it. And it was exciting because I would see the sunrise coming over the Washington Monument every single morning. I passed the Capitol building. It was exciting.
Yeah.
And a Trauma One, we had a burn center. I would get all the gunshot wounds. We did the heart transplants. You name it, I saw it.
Wow.
So same thing there. So this is now my second hospital. And I was thinking that the first hospital was just a one-off. I saw the same thing at a Trauma One hospital. We were not overran with these patients.
Right.
But I did get my hours because it is downtown DC.
You probably had lots of gunshot wounds and stabbings
The
and
drugs. It was fun. So I was advancing in my career, and fall 2020 rolls out. And a certain injection starts becoming available. And we had already, what was it? The summertime, they started discussing it. And I didn't pay it any mind. Now, I am someone who, I hate to say it, rolled up my sleeve and got the flu shot every year. Now, what happened after the flu shot?
You need to be careful about that word.
Sorry. What happened after that? I got sick every year. So prior to 2020, I stayed sick. I was eating a standard.
Not ever wondered?
It's so embarrassing. I never put two and two together ever because I did what they told me to.
Like most good Americans do.
I was eating sugar. I was taking certain things. Anything the hospital said, I was sick 5 to 6 times a year. And so in 2020, when I didn't get sick once, my eyes were opened. So I cut out the processed food. I cut out the sugar. I'm taking care of sick people day in and day out. I was working up to 6 days a week in DC, being exposed all day, every day.
Okay.
Never got as much of a sniffle, Maureen.
Wow.
So then this thing rolls out in fall 2020, winter 2020. And, I was also going through IVF. We were going through that again at that time. Yeah. And everyone said, so Nora, are you going to get it? Well, why? If I'm healthy.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. I said, I'm skeptical. I'm going to wait. So then my coworkers started getting it. My dear friend who worked in the research lab in the cardiology wing got her second dose and was diagnosed with a severe autoimmune disease. She lost every hair follicle on her body.
Weird.
Deathly ill. And they coincided that with the injection. A VAERS report was not filed. I was not very aware of VAERS at that time, but I did remember asking her because I followed up with her. She actually developed a tumor inside of her heart as well. Was that related?
Probably.
But I was doing all of her echocardiograms throughout her treatment. So I started seeing more young people come in the more spring, as we approached spring, and the injections became available to everyone, and everyone was lining up to get it. So strokes were coming in quite frequently. And my husband, at the time, they started saying, okay, it's mandated now, and you have to get this. And I said, no. Now there's rumors about fertility being affected.
Oh,
And
yes, which are solidly founded, definitely not unfounded.
And he said, and I would keep bringing these stories home to him. You wouldn't believe what I saw today, Bryce. And he's like, okay, okay. And finally, what did it was I had a 19-year-old tennis player come in, just got her second injection, and she had strokes, blood clots behind her eyes, and had a stroke at 19.
Wow.
I don't. Now, did I pay as much attention prior? No, but things like that would ring a bell. I would remember.
Yeah.
And I told my husband that, and he said, done. I am getting a religious exemption. He did get it approved. And that was the end of that. And I would see a lot of atrial fibrillation. So a lot of irregular cardiac arrhythmias would come in
Yeah.
that they never had issues prior to this. And people weren't putting two and two together at all. It was hush hush. I was not allowed to talk about it. I was very vocal on Facebook at the time. I may have been called into I'm sorry.
You didn't get banned, though.
No, I had my page on lockdown for the most part. I did make a couple posts public about face shields
Yeah.
because I wore mine up here. And I did get called into HR over it. So I did get a big slap on the wrist for my social media posts. But it was just, I never got sick. My patients were coming in with injuries, and no one, I felt very alone. I was one of two. I can't say her name on here, but someone close to me in a higher up position did question and did not agree with it, what was going on. So there was two of us that I knew of personally that questioned. So it was a very alone time. I was offered a promotion to help run the Echo Lab. And 2 weeks later, instead of accepting that promotion, I walked out of my dream job on September 30th, 2021, the day the mandates were implemented.
Wow.
So, and I did tell the nursing director, she said, "Why are you leaving? We are offering you the world." And I said, "Accept my exemption."
Yep.
And I said, I shouldn't have to fight for it. And that was another thing. Why I will never give anyone my value again, because I refuse to fight against something being injected in my body.
Yeah.
Why should I need to do that?
Yeah. That made me, and still just makes me, so angry. That bodily autonomy is just a basic human right. No one should be forced or even pressured to do something like that.
And I never called off. I took care of all the positives when the entire Echo Lab refused. We had a little code on every Echo order. And if it was a COVID positive, they were literally pushed to the side. These patients weren't getting treated.
Do you have a theory on why that was?
Fear.
Yeah.
150%. My coworkers wore 3 masks. I'm not kidding. These people, they were gloved up walking around the hospital. They had the bouffants on. They had the goggles. This was going on a year into this. I mean, they lived in fear, the fear that they had created. I mean, there was a ticker tape at the hospital, how many positive cases and, get your injection.
Yeah.
It was constant in your face. Every
Yeah.
time you swiped your badge in the morning, there was something about this event.
Yes.
So it was a nonstop reminder. And yeah, they did a good job at it.
They did, and most people didn't. They did a great job of convincing people and keeping people in fear, and most people didn't do a good job of questioning.
Mm-mm.
I'm glad you did, and I also did from the beginning. And fortunately, of course, within the Weston A. Price community, we all were on board with questioning and not believing what we were being told. But out in the world, I'm thankful that I did have a few friends and many from our church who questioned.
Really?
But we had one person who did put the stuff in your arm, and still 4 years later she's my age, having chronic difficult health issues. And we're not even talking about the people who actually became symptomatic and then ended up in hospitals and were refused treatments that worked and instead forced into treatments that kill. And I lost a family member that way.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Actually, two family members. The second was the wife of a cousin, and she didn't want to do that. I won't even go into it. That's not my story to tell. But the part of it that I will say is that her husband, my cousin, and several of his siblings and family members knew that she was denied treatment that would have saved her life, and instead was put on treatments in the hospital that took her life. And you and I know, and probably many of our listeners know, that happened over and over and over and over and
Every
over.
day.
Yep. Every single day. I'm sure we all know people who died, people who have serious health consequences. One of the things that strikes me and is the most difficult to bear is one of the things that you've alluded to already, and that is the younger people having serious heart issues.
Oh, the single mothers. That's what kills me. And this was I had just started my Culpeper job. So this was a little over a year ago. I had a single mother come in and she said, I took 2 doses and I haven't been able to work ever since. She said, I took them to keep my job and now I am on disability because of the thing I was forced to take. And
Yeah.
the amount of young people that have cried on me, and I ask God this all the time because I'm working through the anger. But why did he wake me up? I ask this all the time. Why? Because, I haven't been successful with the pregnancy yet. So
Yeah.
why? And sometimes he'll give me little I call them God winks.
Yeah.
Patients in my life. When I left the hospital, one of my first patients was a woman from the Middle East that came over to marry an American. She was forced to get 2 doses and she is riddled with pain.
Oh.
And she said, every doctor calls me crazy. And I said, you're not crazy. And at this time I had found the frontline doctors.
Yes. Yes.
And so I would write down their website and I would give this to the patients that were injured. And I remember, I can still see her. I hugged her and I said, "You are not crazy. There are things that you can do to help." And I guess that's why God's got me in this career still.
Yeah. Oh, yes, because you were in the right place where you needed to be, and you are seeing these things, recognizing. I'm so glad you woke up. I was at a children's health defense conference in Knoxville, Tennessee, back in 2022 or 2023. I don't remember. 2023, I guess. Anyway, children's health defense. People, if you have never checked out Children's Health Defense, please do.
They're phenomenal.
Yes. Really good. And they chronicle people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I wish I had.
and across the board, it's not just this one thing.
Yeah.
Very good information. And you can watch stories of real people and real families, and it's difficult. But at this particular conference, they had produced a film that was, I want to say, about 10 minutes long. And it was titled, I have to be careful, Died.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like surprisingly fast.
Yes.
That film was heart-wrenching. And even when I think about it, it was nothing but clips of one athlete after another, after another, after another. I'm talking just short little clips of people on the ball field, the volleyball, the basketball, the soccer, whatever, just athletes out there, all of them younger. They might be 10, they might be 35, but one after another dropping dead. Nothing like that has ever happened before. Nothing. And it's still happening. I am not going to say very much just in case I might get in trouble with certain people in my life. But this year, a young person in my life, has been hospitalized twice with very serious and very abnormal blood clotting issues that they don't know. They don't know what it's caused by. You and I know what it's caused by. And it just goes along with that film that I mentioned from Children's Health Defense. People, we got to stop this. And I think that people have begun to question more and think, well, maybe it's
lot
more. Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. They are refusing additional injections. I know a lot of enlisted that actually may have forged getting additional.
Yes.
But I had many enlisted actually show me pictures on their phone of their blood clots that they got post. And they all knew it.
Yeah.
They put two and two together.
And when we talk about normal versus abnormal, the clots that you've seen and that we've seen, they're not normal clots either, are they?
So I'm going to be honest, because I did not question things prior, I can't answer that.
Okay.
But these young people, I question that.
Yes. Because there's no reason for them to have this.
No.
And it is sudden.
Yes. And the even a girlfriend of mine had a hysterectomy after second because that thing coagulated in her uterus and caused severe inflammation, and she had to have everything removed.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, yes, it was due to the second injection.
Yeah.
So and she got it out of fear for her child who had asthma. So the fear.
Oh, they were pushing fear in every way possible on every level.
Which I think led to weakened immune systems, which is what led to so many illnesses. It wasn't this thing floating around. It was fear causing our bodies to shut down. That's one of my truths.
Yes. Well, and you also mentioned, this isn't part of your field, but because we've talked a little bit about the fertility issues, that's another aspect that people have brought up. A friend of one of our kids told me, she's a maternity nurse in a hospital in Pennsylvania, and she told our daughter that they literally had a 300% increase in stillbirths and spontaneous abortions. So not intentional abortions, but the body just losing babies. And then others who've had trouble getting pregnant since then when they didn't previously. And then we have another, a friend that grew up with some of our kids who I have a lot of respect for. And about 2021 or 2022, she wrote a lengthy post on Facebook, which I saved. I saved it in parts and pieces, in which she chronicled what she herself had experienced she refused that, right? She didn't get those things. She was skeptical from the get-go, but I keep telling people no, and I put it on airplane mode and they're still calling me. I don't know how to stop it. Anyway, I had that 300% increase in spontaneous miscarriages and all of stillbirths and all of that corroborated later a couple of other times in the media from different sources. Yes. But what this friend was saying was that even without actually doing the thing and accepting the thing, she had always been exactly 28 days on her cycle. Yeah. I remember I had given my children, my daughters, and I think her a book to learn about all of that stuff. Probably a book that you're familiar with, Garden of Fertility, and Honoring Our Cycles, the companion book. Good books, by the way. Anyway, this young woman began being exposed to all of her friends and people at church. She started to have really irregular periods and bleeding in between and weird things going on, which sent her on a deep dive down many rabbit holes. And basically, she, through all of her research, came to the conclusion that just being around these people, and we've heard this, but just being around people who followed through and gave in to fear, you're going to have fertility issues possibly, and a lot of other issues. And we don't even, I think, begin to really understand that. So I do believe that this was by design. Yes. Nothing natural about it. And I do think that part of the intention might have been to reduce the population or to reduce fertility, or both.
I agree.
That sounds like crazy conspiracy stuff, but so did all of it sound like crazy conspiracy stuff. And look, it came true.
We've all been right.
We have all been right. We're not nuts. No. We are sane, reasonable, reasoning people who are able to take a step back and look at all the information and all of the statistics, and then talk to people like you who were in the medical field, seeing things changing so drastically. I don't trust the government all that much. Even now, I don't trust the government. I have some hope in some areas, but I'm still not trusting. But I am concerned about what's coming next, but I'm not going to live in fear.
We can't.
No. And I guess as in all things, I rely on that God is in control. That doesn't mean that he stops bad things from happening. People can be evil.
Yes.
And people can be stupid. Even smart people can be stupid. Right?
I'm thinking of a few right now.
And I don't think I'm the most intelligent person. I'm not. But my motto has become in recent years, just question everything. Question everything. I question religion. I question medical. I question government stuff. Just question everything, because we live in a very corrupt world, don't we?
And we don't know who to trust.
No.
And with my journey, I've been taken advantage of, even in the holistic realm. It is very frustrating, but thankfully, now I do question everything, and it'll work out.
Yeah.
We're just going to leave it.
We'll keep on questioning, eyes wide open, and we will resist things that are wrong.
The good thing about what came of this, I am planting seeds now in my patients' lives. A lot of people are fed up with the pill pushing.
Yes.
They are sick of all the tests. And I do say, do you know, you can say no. Do you know that salt is not bad for you? Did you know there's two kinds of salt? Refined, unrefined.
Yeah.
Unrefined is not the bad stuff. And I'm able to share this information with these patients that have been injured or not. I have gotten away from asking, because I am just, it's been a lot. But I'm able to say, did you know that type 2 diabetes can be reversed? Did you know that people don't know that? They don't.
They're, again, they believe. I think one important principle here, aside from the other, but the overarching thing is, we need to understand who. Why doesn't airplane mode work? I don't know. Stop. Don't call me. That was our youngest. Okay. I turned it way down. I turned it off, I thought. Okay, there we go. Anyway, sorry. Back to okay. Who is teaching and training our doctors and our nurses and everybody within the medical field?
They're all bought and paid for by the big pharma.
Yeah, and insurance companies who work hand in hand with big pharma. So if you just look at what names are on the sides of the medical buildings, what names are inside of the medical textbooks.
Yes.
And, one thing that I love that RFK Jr. did last week was he fired everybody on the
board. Yep.
Board.
Yeah. Oh,
because they're all pharma. They're all connected to pharma. We're not ever going to get truthful analytics when everybody's in an industry that stands to make billions upon billions of dollars or lose.
Follow the money. That's
the money.
A patient cured is a patient lost.
Yeah. We just need to understand that. And one thing that I find myself also saying over and over again, I'm sure you think the same thing, is, okay, I'm significantly older than you, but what we see now and take as normal didn't even exist 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And what I remember growing up even was different than what my grandparents really, we have to go back to the 1930s really to see how things really started to change dramatically and how that has affected our overall health. So things that we think are normal are not normal. We're not designed to be sick. We're not designed to need hip replacements and knee replacements. We're not designed. We were perfectly designed, fearfully and wonderfully made. Our bodies know how to take care of themselves if we just stop poisoning them and put in the good things that were designed. The whole foods, the unprocessed foods, the non-toxic foods, foods that are not grown with chemicals, foods that are not coming from factories. And that even includes, unfortunately, most of the supplement industry. It's really startling how far we have devolved from where we were, again, 100 years ago, when Dr. Price started to question what was going on within his patients' oral physical health and the food supply. And he was connecting the dots back then. We need to connect those dots and understand that there is nothing that any man can make in a laboratory that our body really and truly needs. You feel the same way, I know.
And that's been a huge awakening to me lately, especially with the Weston A. Price Foundation, because I left Big Pharma and then I transitioned into the homeopathic, holistic world. But what does that involve? Supplements. I was on over 20 supplements at once 2 years ago.
Wow.
2 years ago. So now my goal, I'm not there yet, but as I cut away from work, and I can share more about me escaping the matrix.
But we want to go there too.
But thanks to Sally and you and meeting all of these like-minded people, I want to get my vitamins from Whole Foods, which is possible.
Yeah.
But not too many people know that. And it takes a little research and it takes a lot of learning. Because I still don't know what foods do what. You're
still learning.
Yes.
I'm still learning too. I've been studying this for nearly 40 years and I'm still learning, and I have so much more to learn. I have learned a lot. Really, it started before this, but Nourishing Traditions was really, it's my textbook for nutrition. It's my nutrition Bible is what I tell people.
I need to dig into it. I have all of the books now. I bought all of them.
Good.
All of hers.
We have a couple of others too that are really good that I enjoy. Eat Right by Nick Barnhart is one that I really like a lot. Pottinger's Cats, Pottinger's Prophecy. I could go on. And friends, they're on our website, on our resource page too. And I definitely don't think that all supplements are bad or that we never need a single supplement. I do prefer food-based supplements like fermented cod liver oil. It's a food. Vitamin C, that's a whole food instead of just isolated vitamin C. And we shouldn't be taking vitamin D. We should be taking the cod liver oil again, because we need all of the cofactors, just as we do with the salt, as you mentioned. So we're kind of getting away from, I'm kind of leading us away from where we were going. I want to come back to your frustration and your anger towards what you've seen in the last several years has led you to make some serious changes in your professional life and your personal life too, I know. So now what is the direction that you're heading?
So I was very blessed. I was one of the few healthcare workers that was blessed with a great job when I left the hospital. I took a job as a manager over 7 cardiology practices when I left. And I did take a few weeks off between leaving the hospital and going into outpatient. And I went to the Health Freedom for Humanity conference.
Oh, really? I don't even know about that one.
With Alex Zach.
Oh, man. Whoops. I'm writing it down.
It's no longer Health Freedom for Humanity. It's now the Way Forward. However, I was very involved, and I went to that conference and I met hundreds of other freedom fighters. Apparently, it was a big Weston A. Price thing as well, which I did not learn about until a year later. So I met all of these freedom fighters and, being forced to do certain things. And that I met people, I still talk to them 4 years later that I met at that conference, and that ignited something in me. So I lasted a year as a manager, and that was a year of being muzzled. And then I decided, it was winter 2022, I walked away and became a private contractor so that I would never be forced to do anything ever again.
Yeah.
But the anger I felt over why did I have to leave? I was at the height of my career. I once upon a time was one of the best in my field. I used to scan research patients that would go, my echoes would go to Harvard. They would be approved at the highest echelon you can imagine. And so that was a tough pill to swallow. I walked away from this for my health. So I have been a private contractor now for almost 3 years, and I am slowly stepping away. I am cutting back to 2 days a week starting in August, and then I will actually walk away from my entire career next May.
How does that make you feel?
Infuriated. Because my husband and I have fun. We like to travel now. We put traveling on hold for a decade while we did treatment. Yes. The one good thing that came out of this whole thing, that is my husband and I at, I think North Cascades National Park. So
okay, that's beautiful.
We discovered national park hopping when our Europe trip was canceled in 2020. And we have been going across the United States, national park hopping to just get some fresh air and avoid people, to be honest.
I understand.
I'm going to be honest. I deal with the public all day, every day. So that has been the only positive. We discovered this beautiful country that we live in. Had this not happened, the lockdown.
And I've never been out that far. So yeah. People couldn't even go to a national park. Well, could go, but if you got caught, you might get in trouble. Yeah.
They were masking. But
I still see people outside walking out in nature, and there's masking. And I think,
yes, in my neighborhood too. Yeah, it's still bad here. There are one of my contracting jobs, they are masking, and I am the only one that is walking around breathing freely right now. And it's
wow.
So I am stepping away to pursue the ultimate health. I do believe that our bodies they're miracles, and given the proper tools, we can heal. And I know my adrenals are pretty wrecked right now from staying in fight or flight over the past 5 years. Maybe it's been even before that. I have been surrounded, I went to work this morning at 6:45. My first patient was at 7 o'clock. I did not end my day. I did not take a break until 4 o'clock today.
Wow.
So 9 hours back to back. I scanned 19 patients today. And that wrecks, what does that do to our bodies? I was in a dark room all day, never saw the sun.
That is not healthy.
I've been doing it for years.
Wow.
And behind a screen, this ultrasound machine, who knows what that's putting off.
Yeah.
So as upset as I am to step away, I and give up something I have perfected, it no longer serves me. And I am anxious to find joy in life and get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So.
A good night.
What's that?
Yeah. I'm really sorry that you have to give up the career that you worked hard for and that you enjoyed. I'm also glad for two things. One, that you can step back and you can enjoy your life and pursue what you really want in life. I'm also glad that because you were on the inside, you saw things and you recognized where the problems were coming from. And so you're able to share that and just, this talk. I hope that it helps for some viewers too, who might be wondering, maybe starting to question. I hope that it will help those people to keep on questioning and realize that A, we've been lied to, and B, we will continue to be lied to.
Yes.
And so take on that motto, question everything. And the best way to prevent, overcome, heal from any disease or illness is a healthy lifestyle and a healthy whole foods diet. Look to the Weston A. Price Foundation. Look to God's Good Table, because we have the information. We need to go back to God's design.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and I have, as a private contractor, I am able to speak freely about this. And I have been getting the word out. My first interview on this topic was in June 2023.
okay. So it's been 2 years.
Yes. So I have been very outspoken on video about everything that I saw and the side effects. So
Yeah.
I'm getting the word out there, and hopefully a lot of people have heard and a lot of people are questioning, and I can talk to my patients about it because I'm my own boss. I don't have anyone over me, and that has been a blessing. And just telling people, you're not crazy, you're not alone, and hopefully more people are waking up, and that has been wonderful.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that. Well, Nora, where can people find you? You're on social media?
Yes, I am. So I started a blog to help get some of this anger out. My blog is Denormalize Your Life, because I am denormalizing everything. And then I'm on Instagram a lot, Denormalize Your Life, or Nora Kemmerer. You can find me either way.
Okay.
And I did just start a podcast myself, which I hope to have you on.
I would love that.
With my best friend, just discussing topics like this: health, natural health, healing, just hot topics. So
yeah, good. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm going to check that out. So is that also Denormalize Your Life, or
No, it is Hot Takes, Hard Truths.
Wow, that's a cool.
Yes. On YouTube, and I think any platform. We actually just released our 3rd episode yesterday, so we are brand new.
Good. I'll check that out. And I'm about to take a big road trip, so I'll be listening while I'm driving. I always like to listen to good things. So I will check that out, and we will put those in the show notes as well. Thank you. Any parting words before we say goodbye?
Oh, it is never too late
Thank you. Yeah.
It is never too late to start over. It is never too late to search for, to obtain health. I have reversed a lot, and I would love to share more about that on another episode. But
yes, we talk about that for sure.
And my biggest learning lately is get back to the roots. Make it simple. Health can be simple, in my opinion.
Yeah, it should be simple. I agree. It really should be. We make it so complicated. But it doesn't have to be. I think that's fantastic. So we'll remember those words and those thoughts, and everyone just think on those things. Nora, thank you so very much. This has been very encouraging and enlightening, and I hope very helpful to our viewers. And I'm just so grateful. And I look forward to spending time with you.
Likewise.
Well, you'll come to my house. We'll make some sourdough, and our husbands can spend some time together. And yeah, so we'll get together, and maybe we'll have some things to share on Instagram.
Would love that.
Yep, we would too. So thank you, Nora. And folks, we're going to end it for this week, and we'll come back next week. We have an interview coming up with an author of a book about slowing down, taking time to breathe and to pray and all of that. So that'll be next week's show. But in the meantime, that's Patricia McNamara, by the way. In the meantime, we always appreciate your likes and your shares and your subscribes. Please do share. And it does help get our message out if you do the like and the subscribe and the share. So thank you for that. You can always buy us a glass of raw milk if you'd like. And we'll be back with hopefully lots more good interviews and good information from friends new and old. Thank you, and have a great